Now, let's multiply. See, now you're excited, right?
No.
You're not?
See.
Aha, you're funny guy. Let's do 2.3 times 10 to the 4th times 3 times 10 to the 7th. Seriously, dude? Seriously? Seriously. Yeah, wow, this is amazing.
You guys are just really...
Us, huh? It's always... Notice how everything here is multiplication, right?
What kind of problems in math can't be done?
What kind of problems can't be done?
That's my complaint question.
You know, we can rearrange to multiply.
4?
That's 10 to the 4th.
It looks like 104.
You know what? I got distracted because people were yelling at me. And because people are on their cell phones in the middle of class. Their cell phones are going off. People have earbuds in. People aren't doing anything. They're just If you don't want to do anything, you can leave.
I am. Look at this.
Look at this. Now let's multiply. What's 2.3 times 3?
9. Oh,
It's like 23 times 3. It's 6.9. Are you sure times 10 to the 11? Sure it's not times 100? Now see, this is how we make sense of this. How many factors of 10 we got here? We have 4 factors of 10. We have 7 more factors of 10. How many factors of 10 do we have altogether? We have 11. It's still factors of 10, right? Excuse me? Now is my answer in scientific notation?
No.
Why is it not in scientific notation? Oh, it is. Are you sure about that?
we can solve it further.
Solve it further, honey. There's no solving going on here. We're just doing if it was solving, you'd be finding that x equals something, and we don't even have x in this problem, or even a variable.
You sound like the
You sound like the guy
Powerpuff
from
Girls.
You sound like the guy from Scary Movie 2, the one with the hand like this. That's what you sound like.
That's my strong.
Strong.
How'd you set that up as 2.3 times 3?
This is all multiplication, right?
I didn't.
Just like you did the problem earlier today, you can multiply in any order. So I'm going to multiply things that I can put together. Right? You did this on the 6x times 4x problem earlier today. You rearranged and said 6 times 4 and then x times x. Okay. Now, you've done this stuff before. I'll get to your questions in just a moment, hopefully when I'm not recording. Now, you've done stuff like this before, because if I ask you to do this, what's 400 times, excuse me, did I say 400?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a speck on my glasses. It's hard to see. 500 times 7,000. How would you do this problem?
5 times 7.
You do 5 times 7, and you just, you just add all the zeros, right? Isn't that what you do? You know what the bad people do? The bad people do this. Okay, do 0 times 0 times 0 times 0 times 0. Oh, 0 times 0 times 0 times 0 times 0. Here, 0, 0, 0. And they do this. I'm like, wow. We call this a what? No, waste of time. I told you, WTF is for the next semester. This is a waste of time. Don't do that. What is your question that pertains to this problem?
Why wouldn't you take out the 6.9 times 10 to the 11 to 6.9?
And write all the zeros out?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to write all the zeros out. When you start in scientific notation, you want to stay in scientific notation.
Okay,
This is a much easier way to carry the number, right? I'd rather carry this than have a bunch of trailing zeros at the end.
So you don't want us to go all the way in
If you start in scientific notation, I want you to stay in scientific notation. Yes, Angie?
Because what I did was I did the 2.3x 10 over.
That's not x, that's
on-
times.
Times, but I wrote it down, so I.
With
put
all the zeros?
23,000, yeah.
Yeah, don't do that. Because see, you wrote all those zeros out here and here,
Yeah.
and you had a bunch of zeros, right?
Yeah.
Those are unnecessary, just like doing all of this is ridiculous. Keep it in the powers, you get a nice condensed answer. Okay? Let's do another one of these, just to make sure everybody's with me. Let's try 7.1 times 10 to the negative 10th times the number 5.8 times 10 to the third. Now, according to what I did in the last problem, how can I rearrange this so that it's more useful to me?
You multiply.
I multiply what?
7.1 times 5.8.
7.1 times 5.8, and then you just have your powers of 10 at the end, right? 10 to the negative 10th, and then what?
10 to the third.
10
So
to the third.
even though those are in parentheses, you can still.
Right, and the reason I have these in parentheses is so I can, for the audience, so that I can distinguish between this number and this number. It's just a way of kind of organizing it so it's easier to see. I've got this number in scientific notation times this other number in scientific notation. But since it is all multiplication, I go for it. So what's 7.1 times 5.8? You get 41.18. Because you have to multiply this as 71 times 58, right? You don't do 8 times 1 and then 5 times 7. That's not how you multiply decimals. Times what power of 10?
10 minus 7.
10 to the negative 7th, right?
Yeah.
Now, my answer here is not good enough. Do you know why?
Exponent.
Negative exponent is okay in scientific notation.
Oh.
But I'm in scientific notation, right? Is this number scientific notation? It's not.
Why?
Because for scientific notation, the decimal part of it has to be between 1 and 10. Is this between 1 and 10?
No.
No, 41 is larger than 10, right? So I've got to make this number smaller. How do I make my number smaller? Move the decimal one place to the left. Now, that's going to affect my power of 10.
So you take one out.
So you make it.
I'm going to take one off, you say? Like minus 1?
It says minus. Wait, where are
You
we?
make it
Add
negative
one.
eight.
Add one because you're going to the left.
Now, the question is, why am I changing this? Because this 41.18 is not in scientific notation. I need a decimal between 1 and 10. Now, the analogy that works for me in my mind is this. When I have 41.18, that number is too large for scientific notation, right? Just like sometimes you have too much money in your wallet. You know what that's like? So when you have, oh, you don't know, but just pretend you have too much money in your wallet. When you have too much money in your wallet, you would like to you want to make your wallet smaller and put your money somewhere else, right? So let's go put that in the bank. You make a deposit. You decrease the amount of money in your wallet, but you increase what you have in the bank, right? You don't just throw it away. And so now this is 4.118 times 10 to the what? Negative 6th.
Would you, even if it was a positive, would you have to add one? Or
Even if it were if this had been a positive 7, if it had just been 10 to the 7th, you would still have to add 1. Because you get to put the excess back in. Okay?
So scientific notation, the decimal
Has to be between
1 and 10.
Right. Now it could be a positive or a negative number, but the absolute value of it has to be between 1 and 10.